Have you ever felt like you and your partner are just speaking completely different languages? Well, today we're diving into exactly that, the silent signals, the unsaid feelings in a relationship. We're going to decode the things our partners often feel but never actually say, and hopefully help you build a much stronger connection.
So let me ask you this, straight up. Do you truly understand your partner? It sounds like such a simple question, doesn't it? But let's be real. The answer is rarely a simple yes. It's so easy to think we know them inside and out, but are we really hearing what they're trying to tell us when they aren't even using words? That's what we're going to get into. You know, the whole reason we're talking about this today came from a viewer who sent in this exact message. And wow, does that hit home for a lot of people. It's that feeling, that gap in understanding that can just lead to constant friction and fights. If this sounds even a little bit familiar, I just want you to know you are definitely not alone in this.
And that really brings us right into our first section. This feeling isn't some unique problem you're having. It is an incredibly common confusion. It's not a personal failure, not at all. It's usually just rooted in a basic misunderstanding of how we humans actually communicate our real feelings.
Okay, so here's the first big idea you need to grab onto. The most important messages in a relationship are rarely spoken out loud. They're shown. They're in the actions, the moods, the subtle little shifts in behavior. The real secret to a strong connection is learning how to see and, interpret this silent language.
So if the most important communication is silent, what language is it? Well, that brings us to our second section. We're calling it the language of behavior. Getting a handle on this is pretty much the first key to unlocking a way deeper understanding of your partner.
Let me paint you a picture. It's a classic example, right? Imagine your partner comes home after a super long, stressful day and just needs to vent. You're trying to listen, you really are, but you're also exhausted. Maybe you're even nodding off a little. Now, from your perspective, you're being supportive. You're there, you're present. But from her perspective, it can feel like you are completely checked out, and boom, that's a classic communication breakdown.
So how do you bridge that gap? It's all about active engagement. It's not just about sitting there quietly. You got to take an interest in her hobbies, even if they're not really your thing. Be playful. Share a stupid joke to lighten the mood. But the most important thing is to show you're actively listening. Ask questions. Turn it into a real interaction, not just a monologue she's delivering into the void.
All right, for our third point, let's talk about something that seems so simple, but is actually incredibly powerful, and that's the art of the compliment. Its impact can be huge, but as we're about to see, how you deliver it, well, that's everything.
Just think about this for a second. She puts on a new dress or maybe gets a new haircut. She's probably not going to walk up to you and say, "Hey, compliment me," right? What she's really secretly hoping for is that you'll notice on your own. That spontaneous recognition from you is such a powerful signal that you're paying attention. And believe me, it can mean the absolute world to her.
And this brings us to a super important rule. So, complimenting your partner? Fantastic. Do it more. But here's what you should absolutely avoid. Praising someone else in front of her, especially if it's someone she's not a big fan of. Even if you mean nothing by it, it can so easily be heard as a hurtful comparison. Just don't do it.
Okay, so we've covered some of the positive sides of unspoken communication, but it's just as critical, maybe even more so, to understand the negative signs. So for our fourth section, let's look at the unspoken signs of displeasure.
Here's a central truth you've got to understand. A lot of people are raised to avoid direct confrontation. So instead of hearing the words, "Hey, what you just did really hurt my feelings," you're much more likely to see that hurt show up in other ways.
So what does that actually look like? Well, here are 4 huge signs to watch for. Number 1, the sudden silent treatment. You know what I'm talking about. 2, she starts picking fights over tiny insignificant things. 3, she suddenly cancels plans you had together. These aren't just random mood swings. They are almost always symptoms of a deeper, unaddressed problem.
So the key takeaway here is to totally reframe how you see these actions. It's almost never just a bad mood. It's a message. It's a signal flare being sent through her behavior. And your job is to pause and ask yourself, what is this behavior really trying to tell me? All right, let's shift gears. Enough about spotting problems for a second. Let's talk about creating positive moments. Because as we're about to see in this 5th section, sometimes the smallest, most simple steps can have the absolute biggest impact. Take this wonderful little story, for example. It wasn't about some grand, expensive gesture. It was a small, consistent act of pure thoughtfulness. And here's the key. He didn't do it because she asked him to. He did it because he was paying attention, and he just knew it would bring her a little moment of joy. That one simple act of bringing home a piece of chocolate every day, it really demonstrates one of the most powerful principles in any relationship. It proves that just one small, thoughtful gesture can make all the difference in the world. And here's the beautiful lesson in that story. A tiny peace offering, a simple gesture that just says, "Hey, I'm thinking of you," can be enough to completely diffuse tension and even end a big fight. It was never really about the chocolate, was it? Of course not. It was about the thought behind it. It was the message that says, you matter to me, even when we're upset with each other. So, this all brings us to our final section and the big secret. We've talked about understanding behavior, giving compliments, the power of small gestures, but what's the one thing, the common thread that ties all of this together?
The secret is one word: attention. That's it. It's the active, conscious choice to just notice the little things. Noticing her mood when she walks in the door, noticing her new dress, remembering her favorite snack. This is the bedrock of empathy. It's the true key to really, truly understanding the person you love.
So I'll leave you with this question. Forget about grand gestures for a minute. What is one small, simple thing you can do right now, today, to show your partner that you are genuinely paying attention? The answer to that question? Well, it just might change everything.